The Orlando Magic tried this time. They really, really tried this time. But it's the same problem, the same issue for the last 15 years. The Magic don't have enough offense, and they don't have enough shooting. Today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is February 21st. It will be February 22nd, 2026. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com, credentialed member of the Orlando Magic media since the 2012 season, the last time the Magic had a functioning offense. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, there are a number of issues, including Jalen Green's game-winning shot that cost the Magic a winnable double overtime game against the Phoenix Suns, but it all comes back to that same problem, how the Magic's offense hasn't taken the leap it needs and why it ultimately is not good enough. We're going to get to that coming up here in just a moment. First, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. You can make Locked On Magic even bigger part of your day by being one of our Orlando Magic dailies, our everydayers who listen 5 days a week, who listen when we do weekend episodes like this one, who make us part of your daily podcast rotation, who make us your first listen every day, who are part of our Everydayer Club. We want to thank you again for helping make Locked On Magic such a great and growing community. And we want to thank you for helping make the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. It's your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Have your cake and drink it too. Birthday cake flavor is back. No fork needed. Vanilla-y cakey flavor, caffeinated cake, and no sugar. It's party time. Order now at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Let's get these nuts and bolts out of the way. The Orlando Magic were down 6 with 3 minutes to go. They rallied to tie the game. Paolo Banchero making some big offensive plays, some big plays overall. Anthony Black making a huge steal and getting a run-out dunk. Orlando built a 5-point lead in overtime. Desmond, Bane fouled out. Suns went on a 7-0 run. Paolo tied the game. We go to double overtime. In double overtime, the Magic are down by 3. They get this great play design to get Javon Carter a three-pointer. Really, it wasn't a play design. It was Javon Carter took it. Oh, I need to take a three because they're going to foul me. Bails out of it. Passes it to De Silva. De Silva passes it back to him. He nails a three. Magic tie the game. And then Jalen, with 4 seconds left, and then Jalen Green hits a three at the buzzer from the corner with Anthony Black just a step late to challenge him, delivering the Suns a 113-110 win. Jamal Mosley is right to focus on 2 stats as to why the Magic lost in this game. And he's 100% right to focus on these 2 stats. Orlando had 16 turnovers for 22 points. And these are 2 things the Magic do not characteristically do. The Magic are top 10 in the league in turnover rate. So 16 turnovers for 22 points, even against one of the elite defenses in the league, which Phoenix is. Phoenix is top 10 in the league in defensive rating. That is uncharacteristic of this team. Just like, even though it doesn't feel like it, and there are bigger rebounding issues, but the Magic giving up 22 offensive rebounds for 23 second chance points. Phoenix was just 8 for 23, though, on those second chance scoring opportunities. Giving up 23 second chance points on 22 offensive rebounds, also uncharacteristic of this team, but those are your proximate causes for the Magic to lose this game. If the Magic clean up the glass, they don't lose. If the Magic don't turn the ball over, they don't lose. If the Magic get to the foul line, because when the last 2-minute report comes out Sunday afternoon, I can almost guarantee there will be at least 3 fouls that were not called, that should have been called. And in an overtime game, that's in overtime. Again, last 2 minutes plus overtime, plus all of overtime. We'll get the whole overtime report. In an overtime game, every single one of those matters. And there were some blatant fouls that Paolo Banchero did. Again, we're going to talk about Paolo here in a minute. But ultimately, these are issues. And they are part of why the Magic lost this game. But at the end of the day, acknowledging, of course, that Franz Wagner is out. And acknowledging, of course, that Jalen Suggs missed this game with back spasms. Acknowledging as well that Desmond Bane fouled out in overtime, a critical foul off a bad Paolo turnover. Again, we'll talk about Paolo in a minute, and I want to be mostly praising a Paolo. At the end of the day, this game still comes down to the same old issue for the Orlando Magic. The same issue that has plagued this team, the same issue that just hasn't been able to get right. For 12 years, 13 years, since 2012, almost 15 years, the Orlando Magic have not been able to build a functioning offense. And like I said at the top of the show, the Magic tried. They got Desmond Bane. Desmond Bane scored 22 of his 34 points in the first half. He was 12 for 18 from the floor, 5 for 9 from 3. Yes, him fouling out was a huge factor in this game because the Magic lost the only other offensive player they had besides Paolo Banchero. And that's the point we're going to make today, that the Magic do not have enough offensive players, that the Magic simply can't function at a high level because they cannot score. They brought in Joe Prunty to bring some new ideas offensively. He drew up that play in overtime that tied it and sent it to double overtime. They wanted to get out and transition more. On 9 turnovers that the Magic forced, they scored 17 second chance points. They had 18 fast break points. They are vastly improved. And yes, the Magic are above that Mendoza line. They are not bottom 10 in the league in offensive rating anymore. They are much better at that now. And so, again, the Magic tried. But the problem ultimately is personnel. The problem ultimately is, and the reason why, this is probably as big of a reason why we're looking for the Magic to change coaches, is because at the end of the day, the problem in the 2024 playoffs was the same problem in the 2025 playoffs, and it is the same problem today. Maybe eased a little bit by Desmond Bane, who deserves a lot of credit. And I want to dive into, we'll dive into his numbers just as much as we're going to dive into Paolo's numbers here. And why that is a reason for optimism beyond this season. But it's the same problem. The Magic are an offense that is just banging their head against a wall. And maybe not this year. We'll talk about it in a minute. Maybe not this year. But Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner are good enough to put a lot of dents in that wall. Like, you see the scuff marks from, I used to throw a tennis ball off the wall in my house to play with my dog, and my mom hated it because it left all those scuff marks on the wall. You can see the scuff marks. You can see the places that they've been hitting the wall, and you can see all of it on the garage door, on whatever analogy or metaphor I'm trying to create here. But you don't break down a wall doing that. It takes concentrated effort. It takes constant meeting, and eventually the hammer wears out. I guess. I don't know. I'm losing my analogy here. But you get where I'm going with this. The problem with the Magic's offense, the reason why it doesn't work, is because the way Jamal Mosley wants to run an offense is the same way that Rick Carlisle runs the Pacers offense. And everybody wants to run the Pacers offense right now. Not right now, but when they're healthy. Because when the Pacers are healthy, they have 5 guys who are a threat with the basketball. That's the offense Jamal Mosley has been trying to create here. That is the team that supposedly Jeff Weltman has been trying to build here. A team that is a constant threat to score from anywhere on the court. Any player is a potential decision maker, is a potential scorer. And anchored by a 6'10", 250-pound Paolo Banchero, anchored by a 6'10" Franz Wagner who can dance around you. Anchored by those 2 players, everyone else has the space to eat. Everyone else has the space to get open threes, which the Magic do generate a lot of open threes, and they generate a lot of open threes in this game. Just like they did against Sacramento, just like they do every time the Magic shoot worse than 30%. We come back and say, well, of the 35 threes the Magic cooked, 34 of them were wide open. The Magic get good shots. Getting good shots is not the problem, even if teams are laying off of them and collapsing the paint because they can't make enough of them. That's what you're supposed to do. I don't ever complain about anyone taking open shots, even though I thought the Magic settled for a lot of threes in this game. But at the end of the day, the Magic don't have enough guys who just want to score the basketball. The reason why Javon Carter has been a breath of fresh air is that dude is looking to get shots up. That dude gets the ball in his hands and he wants to shoot. He wants to attack. Outside of Paolo, Banchero, and Desmond Bane, outside of Franz Wagner, outside of Jalen Suggs, who else on this Magic team is looking to get downhill and attack? If you said Anthony Black, you're right. It's Anthony Black. That's it. That's the list. Tristan da Silva ain't beating anybody off the dribble. Wendell Carter, it drove me nuts because there's a late possession where Paolo ended up missing a mid-range jumper that I didn't like, where Wendell Carter had Grayson Allen and Colin Gillespie on him. And I was just, and it was just like, no, players, recognize that. Feed the big man the ball. I don't care that Wendell Carter is what Wendell Carter is. He scores he could score on smaller players. But Wendell Carter ain't beating anybody off the dribble. Jett Howard ain't beating anybody off the dribble. Mo Wagner is aggressive offensively. When he gets the ball, he wants to score, but he's obviously limited a little bit right now. Jonathan Isaac certainly isn't. The reason I think a lot of Magic fans want Jace Richardson to play is that he at least thinks he can beat guys off the dribble. Good on him. He'll get there maybe. But this is the heart of the Magic's offensive problems. It's personnel. It's one thing if you have one or two guys who are just there to be spot-up shooters. But go back and look at this Phoenix Suns team. Dillon Brooks played only 7 minutes of this game, ended up breaking his hand. He could be out for a little bit. Dillon Brooks can be your defensive stopper, can be your 3-and-D guy. But he's not afraid to shoot the ball and attack. Colin Gillespie, he's not afraid. 6 for 17, 3 for 10 for 3, not afraid to shoot the ball, not afraid to attack. Grayson Allen, he was 8 for 22, 4 for 14 for 3, 7 for 7 from the foul line. He took more free throws than Paolo Banchero, only got the line 4 times, which probably should have been 8 or 9, probably should have been 10. We'll check the last 2-minute report tomorrow. They don't mind attacking the paint. When you need them to when they get the ball, when those players get the ball, they're not afraid of it. They're not afraid to do something with it. And this is the Phoenix Suns we're talking about. Statistically, the Magic beat the Suns. Statistically, the Magic had a 102.1 offensive rating and a 101.1 defensive rating. It was 102 to 101 in per 100 possessions. That happens in close games. That's not so abnormal. It's not crazy. The Magic played a great defensive game tonight. And Phoenix is not a good offensive team, but you look around at the elite teams in the league, because ultimately it's not about beating Phoenix. It's not about having a top 15 offense or top 10 offense. It's about having an offense that can beat the best defenses in the league. And guess what? Phoenix is one of the best defenses in the league. And so a team that has a Paolo Banchero and a Desmond Bane struggled to beat a good defense. At the end of the day, the one thing that we have talked about, even though the Magic have gotten nice wins over the course of the last 3 years, the one thing that I have talked about endlessly has been the Magic's ability to beat teams at the top of the scoreboard, at the top of the standings, the best teams in the league. The Magic the last 2 years had the worst record among all postseason teams against teams that are 500 and above. This year, they're 12 and 17. They're not the worst. Miami's 10 and 20. Charlotte's 11 and 20. 12 and 17 is the same record as Philadelphia. Toronto is a very difficult schedule coming down the stretch, is 11 and 16. Magic are not out of the race. Again, they're one loss back. The Sixers will play in the Pelicans as I'm recording this. I'll do a quick score check. Pelicans are going to win, so not out of that. Miami's up 5 on Memphis at the half. Don't worry about the standings there. Magic are not this. We'll do playoff stuff later. I'm sorry, I'm ranting here. At the end of the day, the Magic's goal is to win a championship, right? That's what they're trying to do. And you can't win a championship if your offense can't beat good defenses. And the fact of the matter is, and this will be the biggest challenge for the Magic in the offseason, is like, yes, you're going to get Franz back. Jalen Suggs helps immeasurably. Paolo's going to have a summer in the lab, and hopefully he uses it correctly this time. And maybe you'll have a coach with some different offensive ideas that put guys in better and more comfortable positions to attack and distribute the ball better. But at the end of the day, even though the Magic have taken a step back defensively this year, we watch these games and watch this team, and it's still they try to improve the offense, and they have. Again, the offense is better this year than it's been last year, even with all the rough moments they've had. But it's not good enough to do what this team wants to do. And sure, even undermanned, we can sit here and we can say it clearly. The Magic don't have enough offensive weapons. They need players willing to defend. They need players willing to play hard. Look at Phoenix's roster. Outside of Dylan Brooks, who on that team is an elite defender? Royce O'Neal's a nice defender. Again, I'm trying to give a compliment to Phoenix here by saying this. They are greater than the sum of their parts because they have guys willing to play harder than you. That used to be the Magic's whole shtick. They have guys willing to play harder than you, and they have guys that when they get the ball aren't afraid of it or aren't afraid to do something with it or have the freedom and the confidence to try to do something with it. It feels like too often the Magic don't. And that's why so much is on Paolo's shoulders. So much is on Franz's shoulders, and so much is on Dez's shoulders. And when Desmond Bane fouled out, the Magic's offense went into the tank. So let's talk about where Paolo's really regressed. Because I do want to compliment Paolo, but I'm going to point to one stat that shows where Paolo has taken a step back and why it's the reason why you shouldn't give up on him. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, a quick word from our friends over at FanDuel. Everyone wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person because the Magic aren't going there this year. FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, and again, the Magic, maybe not a deep run, but the Magic could still be a factor in the race for the six. They should be. This is the perfect time to lock it in. I love futures this time of year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab a conference title. It adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And now, not only can you pick cash, but can also send you to the finals. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is also brought to you by friends over at Quo. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there has to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Q-U-O, the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. I love how simple Quo makes everything. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number, so nothing gets missed. Everyone sees the full conversation thread, which makes replies faster and more personal, and works right from your phone or computer, and you can even keep your existing number. It's no surprise Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's Quo, QUO.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. We want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. And we want to thank you for helping make the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network out there. If you haven't done so already, go check out our Everydayer Club. It is the best place to hang out during games. I'm hanging out there in there. I provide my 3 thoughts exclusive to the Everydayer Club and my Patreon subscribers. I provide my 3 thoughts non-public. It only goes to my subscribers in the Everydayer Club's Discord server. There's a specific Locked On Magic Discord server. It's hopping right now, trying to figure out what's wrong with this team and why the Magic lost this game against the Suns. Ask me any question in there. I'm always in there. I'm always available and always looking for ideas to make the Everydayer Club better for you. Check it out today at lockedonmagic.supercast.com. Everything goes back to Paolo Banchero. Again, fair or not, and it just kind of goes with the job. His job is to be the best player on the floor. He has his fingerprints on everything. And so even when he has a down game, he still needs to make an impact. I want to start this second segment, and I've done 20 minutes already. We'll get to the box score. We'll do all our normal stuff. It's a big game. Apologies to the sponsors for pushing you back 10 minutes. Stuff needed to be said. This was not Paolo's best game by any stretch. But this was the kind of game, and the way that he closed the fourth quarter specifically has been exactly what I've been asking for Paolo Banchero to do. So let's, mark it on the board for everyone who thinks I'm a hater. Mark it on the board. 2 good Paolo games. And this is what I mean by this. Coming out of the 3-minute timeout, the Magic call the timeout before 3 minutes, usually lose a timeout. Kendra Douglas on the FanDuel Sports Network Florida broadcast said, Paolo was adamant in the huddle saying, hey, we got this. Stay calm. We got this. The Magic are down 6 with 3 minutes to go. It's been a frustrating second half. They no-showed the third quarter. Defense was terrible. They're fouling left and right. They can't make a shot. They go from up 11 to down 11 in the fourth quarter. They had to rally to get this thing to overtime. And this is again, the response, fair or not, it is the responsibility of the star to lead that energy. And this has been the point I've been trying to make all year long, is that I have not liked the energy that Paolo's brought to games. And in the third quarter, it was bad. I'll say that too. Third quarter, it was bad. He was exasperated, and he was very exasperated not getting foul calls. And there's a foul call in the second overtime. He's going for a drive. Royce O'Neal literally is hugging his right arm. He's going up with his left, pulling down on it. It's a foul. Paolo, goes flying out of bounds like he should to get the foul call, and the refs bury their whistle. Phoenix went down, hit a 3, made it a 5-point game, I believe, in double overtime. And I tweeted this out on @OMagicDaily. I said, if this weren't double overtime, Paolo Banchero would be 100% justified getting a technical foul getting a technical foul in that situation. That's the kind of game it was for Paolo, and the last 2-minute report is going to justify it. Freezing will take me on this later. There will be at least 2 foul calls, and I could point to the 2. That one, and then the very next possession, or 2 possessions later, Paolo's coming down the floor. Royce O'Neal bumps him, and Paolo falls, and that wasn't called a foul. That video is circulating Magic Twitter right now. Paolo did all the right things. And especially at the end of the fourth quarter, the end of regulation, he made several key plays that set the Magic up to get into overtime. And so regardless of whether he scored or not, he had his fingerprints on every part of the game. That's the Paolo Banchero the Magic need. That is good Paolo Banchero. That is superstar Paolo Banchero. And it's not always about scoring. And look, sometimes you shoot, you miss. But it's the quality of your shots, your willingness to attack, not settling, you're knowing what the game gives you, and then ultimately performing and delivering. So if I'm not going to give him an A grade because he didn't deliver. He missed some key shots down the stretch. He missed a layup at the end of regulation that would have given the Magic the win. Or he missed a layup at the end of he missed a jumper at the end of overtime that would have given the Magic the win. He missed a layup that Jonathan Isaac had to tip back. That Jonathan Isaac had to tip back in the second overtime. Like he missed shots. So give him a B or a B plus. But if he, just like I said Thursday, if he plays the way that he played in Saturday's game, if he does that Sunday against the Clippers, and the Magic might get lucky and might not see Kawhi Leonard, although again, didn't see Devin Booker, didn't have Dylan Brooks for this game, Who knows if that's luck or not? You still got to go do the job. You still got to make some shots, which is a problem. You just don't know if the Magic are going to make shots. If he plays like this, the Magic are going to be fine. Paolo Banchero is looking more and more like the all-star that we know he can be, and he's had great numbers since January 1st. He's been really good in his last 10 games. He's getting there, and most of the problems you have with him are intangible problems. This game, this game and Thursday's game against Sacramento, he had the intangibles that you need as a leader, as a star player. So I want to give Paolo all the flowers and say that. Let me give you his final stat line just to further prove this point. He had 26 points, only 11 for 28 shooting, 0 for 2 from 3. So he didn't settle for 3. In fact, he was 3 for 3 at the rim in the restricted area, according to NBA.com, 8 for 18 in the paint. So that is 21 of his 28 shots coming inside the paint. I love him taking 28 shots. Like, again, he just needs to take more shots. He needs to be more involved. He had 8 assists and 14 rebounds. He did have 6 turnovers. 2 of them in the overtime period in the first overtime were really bad turnovers. So again, not completely absolving him, but he had 4 blocks. Look, he's stiff on the perimeter. He can't be guarding guys on the perimeter anymore. That might have been something he could do last year, 2 years ago. That's not this year's Paolo. He needs to get back to the level, but that's not this year's Paolo. But he was mostly solid defensively. He had a +10 plus minus. The Magic did not lose because of Paolo Banchero. You could say, oh, well, you needed to make this shot late or that shot late. The dude was carrying the Magic's offense because no one else could do anything, especially after Desmond Bane fouled out. No one else could do anything. Everything the Magic got in overtime, outside of the Javon Carter 3, everything the Magic got came because of Paolo Banchero. So there is no shade thrown at Paolo today. I am seeing people throw some shade at Paolo. I'm reading a text from my cousin saying that Paolo wasn't good. And he's wrong. Look, Paolo's got to make shots. It is a results business. He's got to make shots, and the game rests on his shoulders in a lot of ways. But this game shouldn't have been close if the Magic would have taken care of their business, made some open shots earlier, rebounded the ball, which again, Paolo, we could talk about Paolo's rebounding another day. I want to talk, though, just very briefly, because I am ranting and raving a little bit. And I think this probably deserves a deeper dive and a longer explanation. But this is where Paolo's real regression has been this year. This season, roughly the same number of games that he played last year. This season, Paolo Banchero is shooting 61.5% on field goals of less than 5 feet. 275 field goals. 275 out of 719. So if I do the math there real fast, 38.2% of his field goal attempts this season come within 5 feet. He's shooting 61.5% on those shots. He is shooting 39.8% on 113 field goals from 5 to 9 feet. Okay? We got those numbers. I'm going to actually save those numbers so that I won't have to keep going back and forth between them. So if you let me stall and pull up my stat pages here and get to stat page and all that goodness here, we're going to get some answers for you real fast. And I'm still stalling because I have to get to the right page and do all that. And it's very hard to navigate the NBA stat page. So that's this year. Last year, Paolo took 265 field goal attempts within 5 feet, less than 5 feet. So Paolo's already taken 10 more attempts within 5 feet. He shot 63.8%. So again, what was it? 38.2%? 265 of 911 is 29%. 29.1% last year. So Paolo's been taking more shots within 5 feet this year. He's already got more total attempts, more as a ratio of his field goal attempts as well. Shooting a little bit worse. But clearly there's just been this big downgrade in his ability to shoot kind of within 10 feet. Again, this year he is 45 for 113 on attempts 5 to 9 feet away from the basket. Again, that is 15.7% of his attempts, 39.8%. This year on 120 attempts, he's shooting 42.5. Or last year on 120 attempts, he shot 42.5% from 5 to 9 feet. So again, on track to have a lot more shots within 5 to 9 feet, but also on track to shoot pretty significantly worse. One of the reasons why Paolo is struggling so much this year, this is plain and simple, is he is missing these shots at the rim. If it feels like he's missing a lot of layups and a lot of flip shots, It's because he is. Oh, the bigger picture with Paolo, and look, there's a lot. The bigger picture with Paolo is that his shot profile's better than it ever has been. He is taking fewer of the mid-range jumpers that everybody hates and he's low efficiency at. He is taking fewer threes, which again, he has to make enough threes to keep defenses honest, and he's shooting around 40% from threes since the beginning of January. He's taking fewer of those threes. He is getting to the basket more. But what he's not doing is finishing. And so the hope of the idea is that, okay, he's lacking a little bit of explosiveness. Maybe he's getting stuck and not getting to his spots as cleanly as he'd like. But this is all correctable. Like, this is all, like, this might be a step back to take 2 steps forward. And so, like, look, we're 54, 55 games into the season. We're so deep into the season. Players are who they are. There's no getting around it. Players, you are who you are at this point in the season. So, we've seen Paolo's numbers bounce back. Like, look, he's putting up these, 20, 25, 11 in 6 games a lot. Like, rebound, he's double-doubling every game now. He's double-doubling like almost every other game now. He's flirting with a triple-double pretty regularly. The only thing we're missing is the efficiency from his offense. And then these intangible things that lead to wins. Again, the Magic, the only way you can argue the Magic lost this game because of Paolo Banchero is if you blame him for like several offensive rebounds, which, we could go through those offensive rebounds. We could talk about them and say, oh yeah, no, that was a missed box out. That was, he let the ball hit the floor. Oh, he got outworked for that ball. Like there are a few of those. Like I will, if you want to hate on Paolo or criticize him for that, I will not argue against that. There were issues there. But if Paolo's going to take the leap next year, it's not going to be because he starts hitting mid-range jumpers, or it's not going to be because, he starts hitting 3-pointers at like 45%. If that happens, great. Where Paolo needs to bounce back and already be thinking about how to work this summer, he needs to be able to finish at the rim. The dude is unstoppable going downhill. The dude is unstoppable. And the only one that can stop him is if contact slows him down, he doesn't get the foul call, he gets exasperated and misses a shot. Or the only thing that can stop him is his own ability to make or miss shots at the rim. That has been the real regression this season. And maybe, hopefully this was either a mistake in his training, but hopefully this was more about Paolo getting the shot diet right. Now it's about finding the recipes, strain metaphor. He just needs to make shots around the basket because he's getting there plenty. Let's go through the rest of the box score, put this game to bed so we can get some sleep before we stay up late tomorrow to see the Magic take on the Clippers. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to my friends over at 5 Hour Energy. I hope you can feel, because my copy says to bring the energy. And I hope you can feel for the first time since Tuesday, I have the energy. That illness, I'm still feeling. I'm still sweating a little bit and need that little kick to get through the rest of my evening. I got a UCF game to watch. I got an Orlando City game to suffer through. If you think the Magic are bad, oh boy, Orlando City. Oh boy. If what I read about that game, it got rough, unless they came back, which they tend to do on their opening night. I don't know. Don't spoil it for me. But welcome to the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy. There is something for everyone. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and I've got my number one pick for the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft. And that number one pick is Confetti Craze. Nothing is better than a little sweetness, a little rich and buttery freshness, a little smooth vanilla frosting, and nothing's better than cake than confetti cake. Like, sorry, it's just classic. And if you get those notes of vanilla frosting and sugary sprinkles in every bite size of 5-Hour Energy, you know you're about to have a great afternoon. You're about to have a great podcast. You're about to get through that thing you have to do. You're about to do that transaction. You're about to enter that room. That's what 5-Hour Energy is all about. It gives you a boost with zero sugar. Has a lot of upcoming flavor innovations planned too. You know, I'm a big cookies and cream guy. Give me cookies and cream, and I am in. Find your new favorite flavor of 5-Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Again, that's 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Okay, that's already 35 minutes into the show. Sorry I went long for a segment. I had a lot to say. I've been kind of sitting on that take for a little while, and today felt like the day to bring it out. Let's talk about the rest of the team, because we were talking about Paolo Banchero. 26 points, 11 for 28 shooting, over 2 from 3, 4 for 4 from the foul line, 14 rebounds, 8 assists, did have 6 turnovers, added 4 blocks, plus 10, plus minus. I will say this. Follow me on social media, at Magic Daily, especially. I'll try and retweet it at @PhilipR_OMD and note it note it on the Everydayer Club when it releases. Um, I would expect there to be at least 2. Would not shock me if it's 3 or 4 incorrect non-calls or incorrect calls on fouls to Paolo Banchero. Again, I loved how he attacked the basket for most of the fourth quarter and overtime. I did not think he settled at all. I think he was a little invisible in the third quarter. I think again, just some of it is he's a young player. He's trying to do the right things. He doesn't want to, he doesn't want to be a ball hog superstar. He wants to get others involved. And I think some of the frustration is that sometimes Magic do need him to take over. And my frustration this year has been he hasn't taken over enough. I thought he took over this game, not necessarily with his scoring, but you could feel his impact in the game. And again, for a star player, that's what you want. You want to feel their impact over the game. I said this earlier. I'm going to repeat it here now. If Paolo Banchero plays like he played on Saturday and plays like he played on Thursday, does not have to be perfect, does not have to dominate every moment, but when he's in the game, you need to feel his presence, and that presence needs to be positive. For the most part, these last 2 games, he has done that, and it's felt like the first time all year that he's done that in consecutive games. It's been such a weird up and down season. So I am cautiously optimistic we are seeing Paolo like turn a corner and start to be the Paolo the Magic need. And if he's the Paolo that the Magic need, then the Magic are going to be in good shape. And I think they can get the 6 seed. I think they can make that climb and get to the 6 seed. So we shall see. We shall see. But there's obviously a lot of work to do. And the Magic got another opportunity on Sunday to get that work done. Desmond Bane was fantastic. Again, 34 points, 12 for 18 shooting, 5 for 9 from 3, 5 for 5 from the foul line. Did foul out in overtime. He was -7. He was the only starter with a negative plus minus. That's because he was in the game in the third quarter when Phoenix took the lead. Just the fact that Franz and Jalen are out and Anthony Black was just not good. We're going to get to him in a minute. Bane happened to be the guy on the floor when the Suns took the lead. And look, Dez has been really good. And I think this week we'll do an episode diving into the ways Dez has been unexpectedly very good and the ways he's starting to be good in the ways that we expected him to be good. 5 for 9 shooting from 3 is exactly what the Magic were looking for. For the first half, he was the only guy that was really functioning offensively and doing much on offense. Not even Paolo was. It took Paolo a little while to get going. He's been everything the Magic could ask for. And again, the only reason he was negative, I don't like him as your primary offensive option. Like, he always needs someone to help set him up. He will always need Franz on the floor with him or Paolo on the floor with him. With the lineups the Magic have right now, he will always probably need AB on the floor with him. I would almost rather have Paolo be by himself as kind of the main offensive hub than have a lineup that doesn't have Dez and AB on the floor together at this point. Now, again, you're fighting right now with all the injuries, and I think Mosley's trying to maintain some. Jalen Suggs probably won't be out for very long. I wouldn't expect to play Sunday, but we'll see. He might be feeling better Sunday. It wouldn't shock me if it's just like, hey, just give him the back-to-back off, and we'll see him on Tuesday against the Lakers, especially since you'll be in one place for a little bit. LA Nightlife always undefeated, so just be careful. It's a Monday night. I think the clubs will be closed. That's a joke. I don't think they actually do that. But Dez has done everything the Magic have asked for. So, again, this is where plus minus can be a little deceiving. Dez was just on the court at the wrong time for the wrong moments, and that's why his numbers look the way they do. Dez is doing everything the Magic need to do. Magic don't take an 11-point lead. They aren't in this game without him. The other starters were rough, and we'll get to Wendell Carter. I'm going to defend Wendell Carter a little bit, but Anthony Black, 10 points, 4 for 12 shooting, 0 for 5 from 3. Really struggled to get anything going. And look, AB's transformation as a shooter has been really, really big. And I'm glad he's a confident 3-point shooter, but he's always got to be in attack mode. Again, that's my big thing from in this game. Is really just Paolo and Dez were the only guys looking to attack. And you just need more guys willing to get downhill and get to the basket. And unless AB is in transition where he's really good, getting him to beat guys off the dribble has been really, really tough. And so this is a game that just kind of reminds you that, yeah, AB's still got a little ways to go to get to consistency. And look, it just might be that this was a bad game for AB and he's going to have one bad game out of every 4 or 5. And unfortunately, this was the bad game for him. And if he has a good game, the Magic win. The Magic win in regulation, the Magic win running away, perhaps. Because the Magic's defense did the job. Outside of a 34-point third quarter, the Magic's defense shut Phoenix down. 17 points, 17-14 in overtime. Again, they score on it. They win the game on a game-winning 3. I don't think I've emphasized that enough. Listen to our friends at Locked On Suns, who I'm sure are thrilled about Jalen Green's game. You can get there. Tristan da Silva has been really up and down. I honestly thought this was a fine game from Tristan da Silva. He had 5 points, 2 for 10 shooting, 1 for 6 from 3. Obviously, you got to make some shots. And that's just the struggle as Orlando. Da Silva's either completely on or completely off. And he was completely off offensively in this game. Again, this is where it's like, okay, you don't have your 3-point shot going. Well, what are you going to do? That's the problem with Tristan da Silva right now is he's got a nice little floater game. He can do a little 2-dribble pull up. But if he's not making threes, he's pretty useless. He did have 9 rebounds, did have 3 assists, did have 3 blocks. So he's doing good things defensively. I anticipate the Magic will still start him. The Magic got off to a great start in this game. The Magic starters won their minutes. Maybe not in the third. They didn't win their minutes in the third quarter, but they mostly won their minutes. It's just waiting on shooting. I'm sorry. It's all shooting. It's like every problem is shooting. Make some shots and things are fine. Wendell Carter. I want to look. Wendell Carter is still vitally important to this team. He is. That's probably not a good thing because offensively right now, he is just mush. It's 2 for 4, 0 for 2 from 3. Had a big dunk in overtime, made his presence felt. He had a big and 1 in overtime, had a big dunk in the fourth quarter. He made his presence felt around the basket, but he's just never around the basket. He's always shooting threes. And again, credit to him, didn't take a lot of shots, was trying to move the ball, but if Wendell Carter isn't making his jumpers, he's not giving you anything on offense. And that's the problem. Again, that's the problem with everybody. If they're not making the threes, what are they giving you on offense? There are at least 2 possessions where he had Grayson Allen or Colin Gillespie on him, including one in overtime that would have given the Magic the win or the lead, where it's just hey, someone on the court recognize it, stop the play, pass it to his side of the floor, get him a look in the post or force the defense to react and then move the ball elsewhere to get them in rotation. You got to do something else offensively. And again, that's the problem with everybody. That's also one of the reasons why Javon Carter has been a breath of fresh air over the last 2 games. Carter finished with 15 points. Javon Carter, you got to be more specific with your Carters now. 15 points, 6 for 14 shooting, 3 for 11 from 3. He had 3 turnovers, had 2 blocks, 2 steals. Just a wildly up and down game. But the reason why Javon Carter stands out so much is his effort and energy. That's what you knew you were getting when you signed him. Was this guy is going to play hard and he's going to get after it on defense. And that's the start of everything. He makes a difference defensively. he was unafraid to keep shooting, even when he probably should have stopped. So again, like I'm knocking guys for being hesitant on offense. This guy is not shy on offense. But yeah, like look, Desmond Bane should lead the team in 3-point attempts. The fact that he had 2 more, took 11 threes, like that tells me like, hey, put the ball on the floor a little bit, get the basket, which he can do a little bit. When the Magic were at their best, when Carter was at his best, he had a couple steals, helped Magic build that 11-point lead in the second quarter, was a big part of the Magic. Obviously, he hit the game time three in double overtime. Like, it's just again, just wildly inconsistent, but mostly leaning toward good, or mostly leaning toward good things happening. He seems like a very good pickup. Mo Wagner's streak of 10-point games ended. He had 7 points, 2 for 4 shooting, 1 for 2 from 3, 2 for 3 from the foul line. Mo continues to kind of get himself back, his legs back under him. I would still say he's a step slow on defense, but offensively, again, just willing to force things to happen, which he can be very, very good at. Goga Bitadze got some run with Wendell Carter in foul trouble. He had 4 points, 2 for 2 shooting, 3 rebounds. Just struggled with Goga things. Like he fouls a lot, can be a little bit late, slow getting back in transition. Just, again, Wendell Carter is their best center option. Like, I'm sorry. He just is. That may not be saying very much, but he is. And that's something the Magic will have to keep building on. Orlando shoots 42.9% from the floor, 25.6% from 3. That's 10 for 39. Only 16 for 19 from the foul line against Phoenix team that fouls a lot. Again, we'll see the last 2-minute report. I'm sure there'll be some fouls listed on there that should have been called, including ones that should have led to points and should have led to free throws. But say la vie, if Orlando doesn't turn the ball over 16 times, they probably win the game. If Orlando doesn't give up 22 offensive rebounds, they probably win the game. If Orlando makes one of their, several more of the open shots that they got in this game, because the process was still generally good with the 3-pointers they were getting. I think they settled too much in the third quarter, especially when they weren't making them. But the process was generally good. They were 6 for 20 from 3 at halftime. But I generally thought like they're getting good looks. They may be settling a little bit, especially after the Sacramento game, but they're getting good looks. It's just about stepping in, making them with confidence. And if you're not making them, pump fake, drive to the basket, keep attacking. I could go grab my Northwestern shirt that says make shots, but it's make some freaking shots if you want to win these basketball games. Phoenix shot only 34.2%. Again, Orlando played an excellent defensive game, one of their best defensive games of the season. 16 for 55 from 3. They get 55 3-point attempts up, but they got a lot of threes off of offensive rebounds, a lot of second chance threes, especially in overtime. Phoenix looked gassed. They were 3 for 14 from 3 in the 2 overtime periods. I believe all 3 of those came off of offensive rebounds. So it's just about, ending the possession, getting stops, and surviving that. And Orlando just didn't. And, again, this is why I say good teams don't win close games. They avoid them. We're talking about fouls that weren't called. If you're in a close game, if you're not in a close game, those don't matter. Jalen Green went 6 for 26. He was 2 for 11 from 3. One of those threes was the game-winning 3. Like, again, random things happen. Javon Carter making that 3 that he made. Random things happen if you let games go down to the last possession. It didn't matter if the Magic played good defense on that possession. I didn't think they particularly did. It wouldn't have mattered if the Magic played good defense. That shot could still go in. So you got to take care of your business early and not hope that someone takes care of your business for you. And unfortunately, that's been the story all year is Orlando just keeps shooting themselves in the foot. This game is not about Phoenix. Again, listen to our friends at Locked On Suns. Phoenix won the game. They played harder. They were the better. I wouldn't say they're the better team. They played harder. They grabbed the win that was out there. Neither team deserved to win. Neither team played well. But Phoenix grabbed the win that was out there. And again, like that's not something we've said about this Magic team for the last 4 years. So Orlando's searching again. Good news is they get to play again on Sunday. They did get a full 24 hours. They played a double overtime game. They hop on a plane, but they'll have a full 24 hours. The Clippers may not be with Kawhi Leonard. So we'll see what happens there. Magic get a chance to get some retribution and get back on the horse. I am going to check the score real fast before I log off here to the games that we care about since I'm recording this live. Miami's up by 13 with 9:37 to play in the fourth, so the Heat will be technically ahead of the Magic in the standings. The Pelicans did the Magic a favor and beat the Sixers, so bad loss for the Sixers. So Orlando's still a half game back of Philadelphia for sixth. They will be a half game back of Miami for 8th or for 7th now. But again, Orlando is now tied in the loss column with Philadelphia. That's the number that matters. Tied in the loss column with Philadelphia, one loss ahead of Miami in fifth. So, or Miami in 7th. So Orlando still technically holds the 7 seed in the loss column, which is what matters. So take care of your business against the Clippers. You're in a 3-way tie with the Heat and the Sixers, and you win that tiebreaker because you're the division champions because you beat the Heat. So long way to go. Don't obsess with the standings quite yet. I do my standings update every night on Twitter at @OMagicDaily. So if you care about that stuff, check it out there. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Just find me on Twitter at @PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the film I say download podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. You can check us out as well on YouTube. Just search for Locked On Magic. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us on Twitter at @OMagicDaily. Get our nightly standings update there as well. Now that we're after the All-Star break, and I update Magic numbers as well. I think it's still 24 to clinch. It'll be 24 to clinch the play-in tournament. So, still a little ways to go. You don't need to be so worried about that quite yet. You can also for even more Orlando Magic content, then go check out my Patreon page, Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. For more Locked On Magic, check out our Everydayer Club. You can get access to an ad-free audio feed of this podcast, as well as access to our Locked On Discord server. Thank you all again for the support. You can check that out at lockedonmagic.supercast.com. But after 50 minutes, that's going to do it for me. Sorry for the long episode. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. We'll be back tomorrow to recap the Magic's game against the LA Clippers because we get to do this all over again. It's the beauty of the NBA. Until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.